How is everybody doing today? Good.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, I'm pretty certain that everybody here already knows how the Fed works, but in case anybody doesn't, or there's like a couple of gaps, I'm gonna do like a brief overview of everything that's wrong with the Federal Reserve. Yeah. Don't worry, so brief. All right, all right. So, the way that the Federal Reserve inflates our currency is by buying Treasury bonds with its, quote, magical checkbook, unquote. It buys up Treasury bonds with just nothing, nothing, and that's how new money is created through the Federal Reserve System. And the danger of this is that when there's too much currency in circulation, this can lead to hyperinflation. This has happened in Germany, right after World War I, in the Weimar Republic, and more recently, and in Zimbabwe. And when that happens, it's $10 million to buy a loaf of bread. You have to reevaluate the currency, and it's really bad. You need a wheelbarrow. Terrifying. That's what we're here to try and avoid. So the Fed distorts the marketplace also by offering cheap credit and artificially setting interest rates. In a free market system, the interest rate is supposed to be a signal to investors that says, enough people have saved up enough capital, to back up the projects that you want to take on. And so, when the interest rate is very high, it's not a good time to do it. And when the interest rate is low, okay, we can go ahead, take out some loans. This is a good thing to do. But when the Fed artificially sets these interest rates at 0.5%, 0.2%, 0%, everybody's just going bananas. Starting huge new projects, housing development, I don't know, theme parks, all kinds of really big, intensive projects, and the capital and and resources are just not there to back it up, and that's when it goes bust. This is the cause of the boom and bust cycle. And so, that's why we have great recessions. We had a Great Depression. These things are not natural to the market economy. Yes, we have, depressions, but, as Robert P. Murphy outlines in the politically incorrect guide to capitalism, or rather the New Deal and Great Depression. Before the Great Depression, what we call depressions lasted 2 years, and yeah, the unemployment rate would go up to like 10%, but within 2 years it was back down to 2 to 3%. And people cycling out of jobs and into jobs is a normal part of the market. You just have to understand that, too many resources get allocated into, farming, and so they have to lay off some people, scale down production, and say, personal computers needs more resources. They're ready to expand, so they hire up the new people, and this is how the market regulates itself. And the Federal Reserve undermines all of this, and it's destroying the dollar, debasing our currency, and leading us off a cliff.
Yep. Why do they do it? Who does it benefit?
Very good question. Who does it benefit? Not us. Not us. Some people throw around words like money trust, money changers. I don't know who these people are, but it might be a little bit of a stretch of the imagination to, say that the people, the higher up, the powers that be, really think that this is smart monetary policy. Especially since now, leaders of the other central banks around the world are, screaming at Bernanke, do not do this QE2 business. Your quantitative easing is going to destroy the world reserve currency and send the rest of us off a cliff. And these are people that love to inflate their currencies already, and they think this is a bad idea. So that should tell you something. So,
Well, the real bottom line is they just allow what it does when they put a bunch of money in the system is they hang on to the money and then they buy hard assets with it while it's still worth something. Then by the time the money trickles down to us, then the value of it's gone. And they have hard assets that don't lose any value regardless of what's happening. They're worth something, like land, for example, or gold, or whatever, or food. And then, like I said, by the time, and that's what they're doing. They're using that money to buy stuff with, and then they get their hands on it, they get control over it, and then we're left with jack shit.
That's why inflation is a tax.
That's right.
That's right. It destroys our savings. If you could have bought a house in 1950 for $5,000, in 2010, $5,000 doesn't cover the down payment. Why is that? The houses haven't changed. Yeah.
Actually, worse.
What now?
Actually, worse. Breakdown faster. Unsustainable construction.
Yeah, there's all kinds of factors going into the system, but now I'm gonna go over everything that's happened in the past year to 6 months since the last in the Fed rally. So, back in April, we had, what was it, like 323 co-sponsors for HR 1207. Does anybody know the current number right now? No, we stopped tracking it, right?
I thought it was 4, actually. That's Boston.
Yeah, that more or less happened. Yeah, and there was like 30 in the Senate, and things were looking pretty good. But our temporary ally, Barney Frank. No, not Barney Frank. What was it? What was that guy's name? No. I've written down the wrong name. What was his name? Not Barney Frank. The guy that sponsored S604 in the Senate.
Jim DeMint?
Well, his name's not that important. I don't want to stand here mumbling for 5 minutes about a name. But he basically betrayed us and went back on his own bill and said, we'll just have this, fake, watered down audit that's not even really an audit, and it'll be tied into the financial regulatory bill that gives the Fed more power. And so, that's what happened there. And so, we countered and tried to get the HR 1207 audit the Fed language, added as like a poison pill amendment to the financial regulatory bill, which got voted down. So as I understand it, the individual bills are still standing. I heard there was a natural roll call vote, but I never saw the video of it or anything. Is that true? Can anybody attest to that? No. Maybe that didn't happen. So, as far as I know, they're still valid in the House and the Senate, but it's kind of off the table since the amendment failed right now. But there's a few other things we can do about that. It may be possible that we've been relying too much on, action on the federal level, putting all of our hope into legislation when we can be doing things on the state level. And Wes will be talking about that here in a minute. But here recently, just the past couple of weeks, a lot of interesting things have happened in the battle against the Fed. It's become some kind of a bandwagon issue, Ben bag right now, and I don't really get it. You've got, the president of the World Bank coming out and saying we should be using gold as a reserve currency, being worried about inflation. Establishment Republican figures like Mike Pence has his own, pseudo solution, where he's wanting to eliminate the dual mandate of the Federal Reserve, opting out of the, full employment and stable prices, and instead just have the Fed focus on inflation, kind of like the Bank of Canada does up north, which I also don't agree with, but that's a whole other story. I'm writing a paper on it right now, actually. But and even Sarah Palin is against the Fed now. Did anybody catch her on Freedom Watch? Judge Napolitano was obviously just so flabbergasted that she was, not towing the line, that he was willing to have her on his show, and I don't know where she learned it, but she spoke some eloquent monetary policy. Like,
She red-ended the Fed.
What now?
She red-ended the Fed.
I guess she did.
I think Henry Kissinger kind of coaxed her on it. Her and Henry Kissinger are pretty big friends, so
Oh, really?
I don't really pay much attention to what she said.
Oh, I wouldn't either. It's just surprising.
Yeah, at least she's saying it.
Yeah, and she's got a droves of followers. Maybe she'll talk about it on her TV show. Right? We can only hope.
She takes over Oprah.
Yeah, she's the new Oprah, right? Isn't Oprah retiring or something?
No, you're getting
Yeah. Sarah Palin, the new Oprah.
No.
There you go. But I mean, what's going on here? Do you think everybody has just all of a sudden gotten worried about inflation? They suddenly know what's going on after 100 years?
No, absolutely not. Most people are foolish enough to explain to them in the most basic terms.
Right.
That your house ain't worth more, your money's worth less. That's the cut and dry. It never was worth more when we had the housing bubbles and all that stuff. Your property never did appreciate. It never truly appreciated. Actually, your dollar lost its buying power, and they get that.
Yeah.
And you just have to broken record.
Yeah. And yeah.
I found that even people my age, when they say, a lot of people my age have had their house 20, 30, or even more years, and they've paid $80,000 for it, it's worth $500,000, and I say, so, if you go out and you sell that house, you now have to buy another house that's also,
Right.
You can't
Exactly.
sell it anyway.
It's all an illusion,
Right, and they think of this as an investment that's grown. I said, no, your house is a liability because you have to pay taxes on it, you have to pay upkeep on it, that's money that you don't have invested in something else, and even people my age don't get that.
Why are we paying taxes on our own property?
Exactly.
After we've already paid for
It's like we're renting
Now,
our property
why do
from
you have to
the
pay
state.
taxes again on money that somebody else has had to pay taxes on when they give you a gift of money? Why would you have to pay a tax again on money they already were taxed for? Why is it when somebody dies, they can take so much of the estate? Why is
There are few things in this world as disgusting as the death tax. Few things as disgusting as that. And and speaking of bubbles and false value, we have people in the media and even some friends of mine saying, Eric, there's a gold bubble. Don't you see? All these commercials, telling people to buy gold. It's a bubble. And I respond saying, are you kidding? There's a paper bubble, my friend, and it's been growing and growing for 100 years, and it's about to pop. So get ready. But that said, gold and silver, isn't an investment per se. You shouldn't put all your money into gold and silver and then expect it to keep rising in value like we did with our houses. But what it is, it's a check on inflation. It's going to at least hold its value. It's not going to dip below a certain point because, it never has throughout, all of human history. These things are universally desired, universally wanted, and for reasons nobody really knows except that, they have utility value, they're easily divisible, all that jazz. But in summary, I think our message is seeping in, but we need to be wary of, people that see, the movement against the Federal Reserve as a bandwagon. We need to be wary of, olive branches that are held out at gunpoint. So,
Protesting
We're ending the Fed.
ending the Federal Reserve.
Ron Paul will save the country. Ron Paul 2012. End the Fed.
Inflation is a tax.
Another redneck to be educated.
Man, I think we had her until we said Ron Paul.
I'm a real redneck.
Oh boy. But yeah, quantitative easing. That's just a fancy,
Real rednecks actually do understand.
just a
what
fancy
money
term for printing out money.
means.
Yep.
So on that note, I'll pass the floor to Wesley Messamore, the senior editor of the Humble Libertarian.